You're gonna get something a little different this week for FritzCast, so tighten your seatbelt and get ready.
Confidence, prove you right, shove you back down and give us toll. You pray for death, go for broke on a flatline romance. And this isn't what it feels like. This isn't
What's up, guys? It's Friday, April 10th. 2020, and welcome to this week's edition of FritzCast. If you're tuning in on the YouTube, you can already tell it's different because I have foregone video production this week, and there's a big reason why I've foregone video production this week. I love doing it. We've had a great response from you guys on YouTube, and that is that we're fixing to keep that in place, especially for upcoming interviews and things of that nature. I think people really do like that format. They like having it more as a TV video type of production and program, and I think that was the last big mountain I had to climb, and I think we're doing pretty good with it. I'm absolutely happy with the product as it's been coming out. You guys have been enjoying the episodes of FritzCast. Those of you who have been the audio bums, a lot of you were audio bums from the start originally. You guys have still been listening to the audio. You've told me that this show is fairly unaffected in terms of the audio presentation. The video presentation just gives us a nice opportunity to show graphics, play video clips. Adds a whole new dynamic, but if we're playing video clips mostly for the dialogue, it works perfectly with the audio. It doesn't really mess anything up, and you guys have been digging that, so don't worry about it. There's a reason why that curveball is coming into play. That's because this past week, I don't even know where to begin. You know what? Let's just tackle the big elephant in the room, right? The thing that nobody's actually addressing. Coronavirus, COVID-19. It's a big deal, right? It's taken over the world. Life as we know it has been changed. Some people were like, oh, hey, thank God March is over. But they said that not realizing that April had only just begun and that all of this quarantine stuff was nowhere near being done and probably only going to get more severe in restriction and all that. It's actually amazing, though. We've talked about in the previous episode, maybe the previous two episodes, places like South Korea not on lockdown. I was just reading today as Sweden has not done a lockdown either. Sweden's had somewhere near 700 deaths from coronavirus, but they have not locked down. They have protected what they consider their most vulnerable segments of the populations, and that's the approach that they've taken, and now a lot of people's eyes are on Sweden to see, hey, everybody's done this lockdown thing. We've done this serious containment. It's actually doing damage to the economy. I know some people out there are going to say, you people talking about the economy over people's lives. We're not talking about the economy over people's lives per se, but if the economy tanks and we don't have some kind of plan in place, people will be adversely affected. People will actually die from the economy sputtering and failing. They will. And if you're in the United States and you're a progressive and you're thinking, well, the government needs to take care of us, you saw how the government intends to take care of you. They intend to cut you a one-time check for $1,200. That's it. That's it. Now, they are, of course, looking at different legislation and doing that. They upped unemployment benefits, I think, to $600 a week. Places like rent collectors and car payment, loan payment processing, they're giving furloughs to people or giving them a stay of payment during the time of this crisis. But you have small businesses that are at the brink, practically at their wits' end, at the end of their rope, and could possibly not make a recovery at all, even with the small business loan plans in place. It's a scary time. It's a scary time, but now a lot of eyes are on Sweden because they haven't locked down at all. How are their numbers going to look? If their numbers stay on the level and don't, exponentially blow out of proportion, people are going to be looking at that and they're going to say, oh my God, Sweden's got this down. Sweden's got something where they've kept their economy afloat. They're living their lives like normal, but they've managed to quarantine their most vulnerable populations. So it's an amazing thing to kind of look at. Among some of the other things that I've come across, there was a drone footage over New York Hart Island, just off of New York City. It's near Rikers Island. Hart Island is, I guess, on March 30th or right at the tail end of March. The New York came to terms with what they were going to do if they became overwhelmed with COVID-19 deaths. What would they do with those bodies? And so a drone was flying over, and they caught footage that was reported as inmates stacking pine coffins with bodies in a mass grave on this Hart Island. And seeing this made me go, what the hell is Hart Island? And so I Googled it and I started researching it, and Hart Island is like, it's a publicly owned, publicly funded graveyard by New York City. It's been around forever. Dates back to the 1800s and Civil War soldiers being buried there in mass graves. And they've buried over 1 million bodies there, and it's where the homeless go. Excuse me. It's where the homeless people go, the unclaimed bodies go, bodies of families who just simply can't pay to inter them in a cemetery. Millions of bodies get buried there. They get buried in pine boxes that get labeled, to the best of their knowledge, at least anyway. Sometimes it's unidentified remains that they put in pine boxes, and they stack them. They dig these big, wide trenches, and they stack coffins 3, 4, 5 deep on top of each other, and then bury them under like 3 feet of soil. And they put a big mass grave marker on there, and then people can come and claim the bodies, and they will exhume those people. But it has this like semi-dark history around it. It's very it was very morbid to see the footage of it, number one, but then to tap into the history and look at the historic photographs, the fact that inmates are burying these bodies at like 50 cents an hour, prison labor, just very harrowing, morbid, not very cool. I mean, interesting to learn. But also, I can't think of any other way to say it other than extremely fucked up. That's Hart Island. I mean, Google that, and you can unlock this whole history that you didn't know you didn't want to know. It's crazy. And there's been lots of angles to debate with this stuff. Do the lockdowns go too far? People were talking about how Donald Trump was a ruthless dictator and a Nazi that needed to be removed from office just a month ago. And then, overnight it was, Donald Trump's not doing enough. He's got to tell us that we have to stay home. He has to lock us in our homes and get the police out there. Anybody that's not in their home needs to be fined, needs to be thrown in jail. A lot of extreme ideologies pop out. Life has changed just incredible. 2020 is going to be one of those years. If you've lived through it like we all have, this is going to be one of those years down the line, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line. You're going to remember 2020. Because this is history. You're living it. This is what you were reading about in the textbooks in school. And it's crazy. It's also crazy to see how certain aspects of life have gone on. You know, depending on what state you're in, depending on what you're looking at. Here in Delaware, it really doesn't seem like a lot has changed other than policing how many people are in a building at one time, social distancing. But for people like me, it's business as usual. Get up, go to work, you know. And hopefully your work has provided you with personal protection equipment, or at least lets you utilize it, which might not always be the case. But I digress on that. There has been, like the Major League Baseball is talking about possibly playing games in empty stadiums. The WWE has been continuing their wrestling programming in their training facility, filming shows with no audiences and still producing their weekly episodic material, including having their biggest pay-per-view of the year, WrestleMania, which usually is held in a football stadium with audiences of 90,000 to 100,000 people in attendance. They even held a spectacle of no audience, and they got a little creative with it. But it was funny to me because sports networks like CBS Sports, Fox Sports, ESPN, since they have nothing that they can comment on because all the sports stopped, they were covering WWE WrestleMania 31. It was crazy to me because they had nothing else to do. It was a little crazy. But while this is odd, it's historic. It's historic. You're living it. So we can go into the responses and stuff. We can talk about all that. We kind of been talking about that for the last couple weeks, though. And I think, honestly, the COVID talk is getting a little boring, It's getting a little mundane, especially because people are on quarantines or confined to their homes, very limited outside of their home action, not having normalcy. And we need to break up the monotony a little bit. I don't want to keep focusing on this stuff. There is lots of stuff to talk about. I mean, we can talk about Dr. Fauci. We can talk about potential cures with certain experimental drugs, or the fact that the president touts such drugs with little to no backing over and over and over again. That doesn't work. We can talk about the government initial response, which was terrible and still is terrible. And they're really, I don't know how people trust our government anymore, really. If you have any faith that the government's going to do the right thing and get it done in a timely fashion and cares about you, I don't know what to tell you, because they definitely didn't. They definitely didn't over this past month and a half now. But to break up the monotony and the mundaneness, we in political news, which the campaign trails for the presidential race have completely changed now. They can't go out and stump. They can't go have big rallies. They can't have these big grandiose speeches in front of crowds chanting their names and all that stuff. And in some cases, the voter turnouts, are definitely impacted because, apparently we can be on lockdown from sea to shining sea here, but the primary polls will still open and they'll let people go and vote. I don't understand that in public. That's not social distancing. To my knowledge, I don't think anyway. But I have a very good friend on the line, and we're going to talk to him a little bit. And then when we're done that interview, we're going to reminisce. We're going to go back to episodes past with him, because this is like the last hurrah almost for the guy. He's the former Democratic presidential candidate. Well, one of the candidates, former candidate for the seeking the presidency, the nomination of the Democratic Party, independent senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you happen to be listening to this. It's great to be back on the FritzCast. It's been a while. Fritz, I have to ask you, right off the bat, why did you refer to me as a former candidate?
Well, Bernie, welcome back. It has been a while. I know it's been extremely busy for you, and then we've had this trying COVID time change everything up, throw wrenches into everything, and put everything on a standstill. But first off, it's my show. I ask the questions, sir. And what do you mean? Why did I refer to you as the former nominee? You have conceded the race to Joe Biden.
No. I did not concede the race to Joe Biden, Fritz. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. Apparently you don't listen to the press releases that happened. Which, I mean, it's not like you are right. It's changed dramatically. I can't stand in front of a crowd. I can't show the people how much the burn movement is burning through the American people, especially in these trying times, where all my policy positions make sense and everybody wants them. I did not concede to Joe Biden. I simply suspended my presidential campaign.
Well, what does suspending your presidential campaign mean other than you're conceding to Joe Biden? I don't understand.
No, you are right. There's no more campaign trail. There's no more stumping. There's no more gathering of the people. We can't do that. We gotta enact social distancing. We can't tell voters to go vote in big lines out in the public, touching voting booth machines that aren't even sanitized any other time in our history. But now more than ever they need to be sanitized. Yes, I've suspended the campaign. I haven't suspended running for president. I've just suspended the campaign. What don't you understand about
Jeez,
that?
are you trying to tell me that even though you suspended your campaign, you can't go out and about, you can't do rallies, you can't do anything like that, but that you're still going to be on the ballot? Is that what you're getting at?
Yes, I'm still going to be on the ballot. I'm still a Democratic nominee for president. I haven't dropped out. I haven't disappeared. I'm not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. The Feel the Burn movement feels the burn from sea to shining sea. Even in this time of trying coronavirus and quarantine.
Listen, man. Can you just play straight with me? I mean, give up the ghost, dude. You're done, right? You have no intention of winning the presidency at this point, of winning the nomination for the Democratic Party, let alone all the way to the presidency. I mean, you're in for helping Joe Biden now, aren't you?
Well, listen, anybody is better than Donald Trump, and we all need to unify to beat Donald Trump. Otherwise, we end up with 4 more years of Donald Trump, and that would be absolutely devastating to the country. Absolutely devastating. I mean, if you thought coronavirus was bad, and you thought Russia interference in our election was bad, and you thought all this other stuff was bad, just imagine what 4 more years will do. Giving him this empowerment, but we're still going through coronavirus. We don't even know how long. Like, we're crossing our fingers and hoping that I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that I could go to the beach summer camp. That's what I'm hoping. And I'm hoping that, if you want to go to the beach or something, I know you like going to, New Jersey, to the beaches and Wildwood and all that. I know you want to do that over the summertime. I've got my fingers crossed for you. So that you could do that. I could go to my, summer camp and it'll be great. But with holding out hope, we don't know that that's gonna happen. Right now, we need to, pour in resources to making vaccines and finding, cures to this global disease while the world is on lockdown.
Well, you say I don't listen. Did you not listen to me that South Korea isn't locked down, that Sweden isn't locked down?
There's always exceptions to the rule. I mean, we don't have to follow everything everybody is doing.
Oh, now we don't have to do what everybody's doing. In this case, we don't have to follow what other people are doing, but in all the other policy points, you want to say that America's the only developed first world country that doesn't have universal health care or tuition free college and stuff, right?
Yeah, well, those are the good things. Yes. We shouldn't be doing those. Shouldn't be following Sweden or South Korea because it could. I'm not one, and I'm sorry, pardon my French. It could bite them in the ass.
Well, all right, fine. So Joe Biden is the. I'll play your game. I'll play your game. He's the presumptive nominee.
Well, I mean, if he gets enough delegates and that's the way that it goes, then, yes, he'll be the presumptive nominee. But as of right now, as I've only suspended my presidential campaign because campaigning is kind of out of the question right now, that's up in the air.
Fine. Hypothetically speaking, Joe Biden wins the Democratic nomination. Who do you think Joe Biden's going to pick as his VP?
Well, I'm not one to, toot my own horn, but, maybe a Biden, Sanders ticket isn't so bad.
Nah. Remember in that last debate that you had, the empty arena debate, which actually I thought was a really interesting spectacle of sorts. Remember in that debate, he committed to picking a woman vice president. And then they asked you if you would do the same, and you said, well, yeah, pretty much. That's what you said.
Yeah, pretty much. It probably would be a woman vice president, a presidential nominee, and I've still been thinking about who I might select if I should become the Democratic nominee, which is not a write-off at this point yet, because even though I've suspended my campaign, just saying, Bernie Sanders' name still on the ballot.
Really?
That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, that being said, seriously, who do you think Joe Biden will pick?
Well, let me flip the question around. Let me ask you, who do you think Joe Biden would pick as his vice presidential nominee?
Michelle Obama.
What? Michelle Obama for what? Why would he pick Michelle Obama as his vice presidential nominee?
I think it's pretty easy, Bernie. I think Barack Obama has hung back and not said a word during the nomination process under the guise of, letting the system play it out. I'm using air quotes. But really he was holding back because he needed to make sure that Biden would secure the nomination, and then he would come out and endorse Biden, so to speak. But Biden really would be Biden picking Michelle Obama as his VP, and then boom, you interject Obama onto the campaign trail. He's doing a bunch of stump speeches and a lot of inspirational mumbo-jumbo, hopey-changey stuff, and bringing back that nostalgia of the Obama years of just before Trump, which voters have been found to really be longing for whatever reason. It just makes strategic sense, Bernie, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's deep, brooding analysis coming from you, Mr. Libertarian. You guys don't even have a nominee yet.
You are right, but I have interviewed two of those candidates. Adam Kokesh and Jacob Hornberger. Boom bip, kid.
Oh, well, good for you. Good for you.
Bernie, will this be the last that we hear from you? We've had you check in from the campaign trail and all that. Obviously, the campaign trail's going. That's zapped away. COVID-19 killed that and was probably the final nails in your campaign's coffin.
Oh, those final nails.
It was headed that way anyway.
No. It wasn't. No. The campaign's still very much alive, Fritz. Just you wait. Just you wait. People could still vote in the primaries for Bernie Sanders. Sends a message that Joe Biden must adapt to feel the burn. And we need it now more than ever. We need to get Donald Trump out of office. If I have to stump for Uncle Joe, I'd be proud. I'd be very, very happy to stump for Uncle Joe.
I have audio from an earlier interview that proves otherwise. But Bernie, will this be it for you, or will you still commit to coming on the FritzCast?
Fritz, you're a good friend. You are terribly misguided in your politics, and you have the absolutely wrong philosophy on this stuff. Absolutely, I will still come on FritzCast to school your ass on this shit.
Wow. Gee, Bernie, you are... Where is this passion and energy on the campaign trail? You don't cuss like that, man. Not at all.
Feel the burn out. See you next time, punk.
Well, that's Bernie Sanders, ladies and gentlemen, who the former, yeah, I'm going to say it now that he's off the line, former Democratic candidate for the nomination for the DNC. Now just back to good old independent Bernard Sanders from Vermont. And that being said, you might, if you're a new listener, you might have missed out, or maybe you just want to, have a little trip down memory lane, a little nostalgia, if you will. I want to play the highlight clips of Bernie Sanders on the FritzCast podcast from 2019 and 2020. Just relive some of the good moments that he's had here on FritzCast, kind of like an in memoriam almost, except he's committed to come back on because he just can't go away. So that's what the rest of this episode is going to be. If you've heard him before and you want to tune out, thanks for listening. Come back next week. But otherwise, stay tuned and listen to these highlight clips while you're at it. And afterwards, I'll give my little spiel about where you can find FritzCast and all that good jazz, all right? All right, let's do it.
Harry Carey voice, You know what, Brian? I could kind of do it in Stewie voice. It's not that, I think maybe the mannerisms are there. But, I say, what the deuce? I'm not very good at Stewie voice. I like to think I am. I'm not. I do it. I still do it a lot. I still do it a lot. I don't do it as well as that Vines bastard. Thomas Sanders. I do, however, on occasion, I do pull out Bernie Sanders. And believe you me, this time in the Democratic primaries, there are now, I think, 142 candidates, which is a much more diverse group than previously in 2016, where we had it was pretty much just old white people. Now we have the benefit of having people like Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell, my companion from honestly, I don't even know where he's from, but I know that Eric Swalwell has said that he believes that strict gun control is needed, and he has had the balls to threaten to use the nuclear arsenal at his disposal, as he could do if he was elected commander-in-chief. And I think that's ballsy.
The former vice president of the United States,
Bernie Sanders, a pleasure to be here again. Well, why don't we go back? Why don't I introduce the candidates, and I'll tell you one by one how this works. Marianne Williamson, she's batshit crazy. She says she's gonna harness love. She definite VP candidate material for me though, because I think that love is a good thing. John Hickenlooper, who I don't even think President Hickenlooper sounds very good. Andrew Yang, he could also be a potential candidate, because his whole thing is a universal basic income, which goes right in line with my Medicare for All plan. Pete Buttigieg, don't like him at all. He's not a very good choice. And I'm sure you'll explain why he's not a very good choice later. I trust your instincts, Fritz. Joe Biden, who he was vice president. He's trying to bank off of nostalgia. Get him out of here. In the 70s, he was a horrible person, and clearly people can evolve, because I've been the same since day one, 472 years ago. I haven't changed at all. So Joe Biden, get out of here. You are old school Democrat, and this is new school, buddy. Kamala Harris, she laid to waste Joe Biden. Literally, she grabbed a shovel and dug a 6-foot hole, and Sparta kicked his ass into it. Kristen Gildebrand, she's likable. Definitely could be VP on my ticket. Then we'd be progressing in getting the first female vice president with me and Medicare for all. Michael Bennett, who nobody really even knows who he is. I don't even know why. Like, I thought that you had to qualify for these things. And then Eric Swalwell. He's great because, like, I talked about this, I believe, a couple weeks ago on your program. He's ballsy. And he wants to threaten to use nukes to confiscate every firearm in America. And I think that's bold. Thank you, Bernie. I think you missed another candidate in there. Oh yes, there's also me. You could also vote for me, because out of this field of candidates, most of them have just stolen my talking points from when I was taking on Secretary Clinton, because they realize that they're popular. So just remember, if you like any of these other candidates for the things that they're talking about, there's a good to fair chance that I am the originator of the talking points.
Right. You know, I believe in yesteryear of 2015 and 2016, I believe I was calling them your pander points.
Yes, these are my panda points.
No, not panda points. Pander.
That's what I said, panda points.
Oh, God. Right. Okay. I don't have the original message. He said he played it for some people, and they liked it, and that there was more demand for Bernie Sanders on the program. And Stephen Ignoramus actually said something about the Bernie impression. He said something about you do a great Bernie impression. I don't know what he was talking about. Stephen, I've had Bernie Sanders on the show before. It's just that, you know, they're calling my bluff that you know, this, because I've had him in studio, you know, vacation and records and travel logs haven't shown him stopping in Delaware at all. But he's been here. He's been in this very office, Stephen. That wasn't me doing his voice. So, but Stephen was he was complimenting my Bernie Sanders impression, but I think I did it a little bit on that Call Me Ignorant episode of my impression of it. My impression of him is pretty good, but you know, again, I've had him on the program several times. So, and I thought about, you know, maybe just to qualify that, like maybe I'd have him call in and we could do some stuff over the phone. I mean, he's a busy guy. He's running for president of the United States again, in a Democratic field of 18 other candidates now, because our buddy Eric Swalwell dropped out of the race because he's insignificant. He's not relevant. And somebody on Twitter tried to argue about how I'm not relevant because nobody listens to this podcast. And he tried to dunk on me, and it didn't take. Then he ended up blocking me because he's a baby. So there's that.
You know, Fritz, I would tend to agree with the perspective that you just gave, because that person did try to mock you, and I do not believe that the way to convince you that you're wrong is by mocking you.
Holy crap. Well, I'm glad that this is actually working. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Bernie Sanders again. Bernie, thanks for being here, man. I know you must be incredibly busy on the campaign trail with 18 other candidates out there, including yourself. I'm glad that you would take the time to come on this program out of all the programs that you could choose from.
Yeah, well, it is very busy, and you are correct. You know, our buddy Eric Swalwell, he had to drop out. And honestly, honest to God, it's because the bottom 10th of 1% wasn't even voting for him. Because I hate to say it, I know I said that he was a great guy and all that, but he is, at this point, he is Mr. Irrelevant. Because he was polling at a whopping 0%. So he was just flooding this field of a lot of candidates. He was crowding the stage, and then he was doing crazy things. He was calling us the Avengers, and don't get me wrong. It is very cool to be likened to the Avengers. If I had to liken myself to one, I would probably say that I'm the Hulk, because Bruce Banner is the smartest one of them. A lot of people like to say it's Tony Stark. It's not Tony Stark. All right, and for all intents and purposes, he's dead now.
Yup. Well, spoiler. Well, I guess not spoiler.
No, it's not a spoiler. That movie's been out for quite some time now, and people know that he's dead. I mean, the new Spider-Man movie is out, so people know that Tony Stark is dead. All right, Iron Man is no more. All right, we don't have a billionaire class over the Avengers anymore. Honestly, between you and me, it's probably better that way. Tony was the top 10th of 1%. He didn't want to pay taxes. All right, he just wanted to make Iron Man suits and try to defend the world, which, is noble. It's very noble, but he didn't want to give me half his paycheck.
I'd be thinking that you didn't like Tony Stark because of the whole Stark Industry weapons thing.
That is true. Stark Industries did initially help this endless foreign war, but you're also forgetting that this is fictional. So he doesn't even really exist.
All right. Well, what is your take on Eric Swalwell dropped out? And it seems like while you cared about him for his I'm trying to think of the word.
His gumption. He was ballsy. How many candidates can say that the government has nuclear weapons to try to make a point that this government can accomplish what it wants to do?
I'd be thinking that personally, I would think that you guys would want to lessen government power, considering that he made that threat and considering who's in the office right now. I figured you guys would actually be more on my side for a limited government approach rather than an expanding government involvement.
I honestly, I don't know why you guys don't get it. The problem isn't the power that the government has. The problem is the people that people are electing. If we just elect better people, if we just elect more people like me who want Medicare for all and want tuition-free college, if you just voted for more people like us, this would never happen again.
Well, we're going to have to agree to disagree. Any commentary on any of the other candidates?
I don't have any additional comment. We're getting ready for another debate. And because of this crazy world that we live in, Marianne Williamson is actually going to be in that debate.
Oh, yeah. I believe you said of Marianne Williamson that she was batshit
crazy. Who can get up on a stage in the middle of a debate, towards the end of a debate, who can be on a stage and then go into a tirade about how, about how we haven't talked enough about Donald Trump, when that was the sole focus of the debate, was bringing up and criticizing Donald Trump the entire time. And and then you get up and then you say that he's harnessed fear for political purposes, and that you're going to harness love. Who would have even thought to say that?
Absolutely. I think you're right. It was a little crazy that she said that whole thing. And then there's something about the way she talks. People keep likening it to those AMSR videos on YouTube.
There's something about the way she talks. If I wanted to go to sleep, I would probably just look up a Marianne Williamson speech or video. Anything really where she would just be talking, and I'm sure it would lull me into a very deep sleep. Probably better than having to go and buy over-the-counter medications, which should be provided to you free through Medicare for All.
Wow, you're really not going to let up on the Medicare for All thing, are you?
You bet your ass I'm not.
Well, all right. That's all the time we have for you, Bernie. We hope to see you again sometime soon.
Yep. Yep. As Andrea Bocelli sang, it's time to say goodbye. But I'll try to check in on the campaign trail as much as I can, and try to give you some perspective on these candidates, especially if Marianne Williamson continues to advance, which I don't see happening. But as she said, love will win. Goodbye.
There's a couple of good political subjects to get into this week, but last week we had the Bernie Sanders phone in, and he committed to coming on the program recurringly, not necessarily every week, but recurringly, to talk about the campaign trail and what's going on and all that. And a big story over this past week was it actually involves Bernie Sanders. It involves Bernie Sanders and his campaign staff and wages. See, Bernie Sanders, in true progressive fashion.
Fritz, first off, pleasure to be here. Pleasure to talk about the subjects and what the news has put out. Of course, this news is it's rather fake news.
Bernie, welcome again to the program. How do you mean? What do you mean by fake news? This is something like you guys have said that Donald Trump screamed. This. I guess this was years ago in the election. All that you talked about Donald Trump talking about fake news, and that's dangerous and all that. What do you mean by it's fake news?
I don't think people have the facts right on this story. This is a multifaceted issue, and they tried to just like last week. You said somebody tried to dunk on you. I think that people are trying to dunk on me right now, and I'm not taking. I don't take dunks. I don't like Dunkaroos. I think that Dunkaroos,
like the cookie,
were terrible.
Dunkaroos were first off, you're wrong. Dunkaroos were amazing. Everybody loved Dunkaroos. Anybody who was anybody liked Dunkaroos. But I'm failing to see how the media was trying to dunk on you. And you can clarify if I'm wrong about something. That's fine. But how about I break down some of the facts of the news releases and the story?
Well, you go ahead and do that, and if I think that it's not factual, I will state my case. But I'll let you talk. I mean, it's your program. I've merely agreed to call in and talk about it, give my side. So, state your case first, and then I will tell you how right or how wrong that may be.
All right. Well, I'm reading from the Washington Post now, because you were going around rallying for $15 an hour at different campaign stops and rallies across the nation. So this article is by Sean Sullivan, Washington Post, posted on July 18th. Quote, unionized campaign organizers working for Senator Bernie Sanders' presidential effort are battling with its management, arguing that the compensation and treatment they are receiving does not meet the standards Sanders espouses in his rhetoric, according to internal communications. Campaign field hires have demanded an annual salary they say would be equivalent to a $15 an hour wage, which Sanders for years has said should be the federal minimum. The organizers and other employees supporting them have invoked the senator's words and principles in making their case to campaign manager Fayez Shakir. Shakir, your campaign manager, has been quoted saying, quote, we know our campaign offers wages and benefits competitive with other campaigns, as is shown by the latest fundraising reports. Every member of the campaign, from the candidate on down, joined this movement in order to defeat Donald Trump and transform America. Bernie Sanders is the most pro-worker and pro-labor candidate running for president. We have tremendous staff who are working hard. Bernie and I both strongly believe in the sanctity of the collective bargaining process, and we will not deviate from our commitment to it. The article goes on to state, though, it was unclear when or whether Sanders had been made aware of the situation. So first, before even continuing, I will ask: did you even know that there was a situation going on?
You know, I'm not gonna lie to you. Being a presidential candidate, it's very busy work, especially preparing for debates, especially preparing for debates with people like, against the likes of Marianne Williamson, for example, or other candidates.
Maybe like Elizabeth Warren? Like Elizabeth Warren. I heard that you and Elizabeth Warren have a pact not to talk crap on each other.
I don't, Elizabeth Warren, we've worked together before in the past. She's very devoted. We're very similar. I don't have anything negative to say about Elizabeth Warren.
All right. Well, I don't want to go off track. I want to stick on the paying of these unionized workers of yours, which, by the way, they collectively bargained for their salaries sometime back in May, and then for some reason. Let's see here. The article states, quote, the draft letter estimated that field organizers were working 60 hours per week at minimum, dropping their average hourly pay to less than $13 an hour. It said that, quote, many field staffers are barely managing to survive financially, which is severely impacting our team's productivity and morale. Some field organizers have already left the campaign as a result, end quote. Down further in the article, it states, quote, it's not completely clear why the wages dispute began so swiftly after the campaign and the union reached the initial agreement, though at the point the campaign had yet to assemble its sprawling roster of field organizers. But on May 17th, Shakir convened an all-staff meeting during which he recommended raising the pay for field organizers to $42,000 and changing the work week specifications, according to an email he later wrote to staff. The union draft indicated he was seeking to extend the work week to 6 days. Shakir pressed for a swift vote so he could make budget decisions and decide how many field organizers to hire, according to his email. The union rejected that offer because the raise would have elevated field staff to pay a level responsible for paying more of their own health care costs, according to the draft proposal the union was preparing this week. The campaign workers decided to press harder. On July 11th, dozens logged into Slack, the popular instant messaging service used by the campaign's employees, and began bombarding Shakir with appeals to raise pay for field organizers. So among these things, it seems that your campaign has gone back and forth in collective bargaining to try to reach a compromise on this issue. In fact, they have. It's been suggested that you're cutting workers' hours to make it equivalent to $15 an hour, but it's begged the question that your push for a federal mandated $15 minimum wage could cause problems for maybe not the larger corporations, which I know you're aiming at, but definitely the smaller businesses. Seems that they would struggle, much like your campaign has been struggling to reach this agreement. Your campaign actually has money. That's the weird thing.
So, to me, cutting hours to be proportionate so that it's $15 an hour, I think that accomplishes the goal.
You see, Bernie, cutting the hours so that's equivalent of $15 an hour doesn't translate in how many hours they can work per day or per week. Like you can say that you've given them $15 an hour all you want, but now you change the hours. What's going to stop other businesses from changing the hours?
Well, I'm sure we could just we could tackle that next. If we get a $15 minimum wage. And then if they try cutting hours, we could probably put forth legislation that would guarantee that you could work a certain amount of hours.
I don't, Bernie. I think this is messy territory. Now you're talking about the government mandating how many hours have to be allotted from a business to an individual working. I mean, like the work field is complicated, Bernie. It's more than just banging a gavel and saying like, here's $15 minimum wage for every worker. Which, by the way, to me anyway, I'm gonna give you my opinion on it. I don't think that you should tackle it on a grand scale like that. Like the minimum wage, there's problems with minimum wage. For example, there's people, there's kids, teenagers, just getting into the work field, just figuring out about this work thing. I don't think they need $15 an hour. I think that you could definitely tier the system. You could definitely tier it so that first-time workers and people just getting into the field and teenagers and we don't have so much underage workers anymore, but the teenage workers who are not yet adults, I'm not so sure that they have to be guaranteed a $15 minimum wage. I think the $7.25, for just getting a job, getting a summer job, working a summer job, a part-time job, I think that's fine. In the grander scheme of things, rather than forcing all companies to figure out how they're going to pay $15 an hour and not having to cut back their workforce, much like your campaign is. Your campaign is now deciding whether or not they have to make those cutbacks, if they can hire as many people as they want to hire, and then tooling with the scheduling and the hours to make it so that it's equivalent. I mean, it just looks like you're doing a lot of legwork.
Well, of course it's complicated. Of course, to make sure that everybody gets that fair $15, minimum wage, even in my own campaign, there's a lot of work to do. It's not just that you're going to work 40 hours a week and get $15 an hour,
And then, and your campaigns work. I mean, your campaign seems to have good health benefits for them, but that was another issue that they brought up.
Yeah, well,
and I'm left to wonder.
But, that's why, again, this goes back to what we talked about last week, Fritz. Medicare for all. At Medicare for all, then my campaign doesn't even have to worry about how they're getting health benefits to the workers because the government will be taking care of it.
I knew this was going to go back to Medicare for all. So, your plan is to push nationally Medicare for all so that your employees can make $15 an hour or more and you won't have to worry about their health benefits, but they will pay more in taxes to have that health care benefit.
Yes. I think that if you paid more in taxes and those things were taken care of, I think you'd love paying more in taxes. 40, 50, 60, 70% of your paycheck. I think you would like it. I think if you just gave it a shot, you would like not making and bringing home most of the bread. Just give it to us, and we'll figure it out.
Well, I remain skeptical. But anyway, thank you, Bernie, for coming on, and I can't wait for you to come back on next time for whatever subject may come up.
Absolutely, and remember, $15 an hour minimum wage. Get it done however you got to get it done, whether you cut the hours or raise the wages enough so that they have to pay for their health care, whatever you got to do, get it done. $15.
All right. Well, isn't it great to have Bernie on the program? I love talking to the guy. I fundamentally disagree with him on a lot of things and how he would accomplish it, but I love having him on the program. Another prime example of that would be at a Bernie Sanders rally. At a Bernie Sanders rally, somebody got up and asked a question about, and they mentioned the passing of David Koch, and his audience applauded. His audience applauded, when he was like, now that we have billionaire oligarch David Koch who's passed away, and the audience started clapping, celebrating the death, and Bernie Sanders.
I completely condemned them from it. Pleasure to be here, Fritz. Pleasure to have be on the program.
Yeah, well, welcome, Bernie Sanders again. Welcome to the program. Let me play the clip real quick.
Mega donor David Koch. It happened while Sanders was taking questions at the Minnesota State Fair. Here's a look.
Yesterday, oligarch David Koch passed away, and we're going to be dealing with his. We're going to be dealing with pollution and the radicalization of his politics.
I don't applaud, the death of somebody. We needn't do that. I think what we can say is that the Koch brothers and other billionaires, because of this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, have been able to spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to elect candidates who represent the wealthy and the powerful and the fossil fuel industry, which is where the Koch brothers made a lot of their money.
So that was the clip, and that was your response to the situation.
Yep, and we needn't do that. I eviscerated that crowd for doing such a thing.
Nah, I wouldn't say you eviscerated them. I do applaud you for standing up and saying, "Don't do that. That's bad." But I think you could have been just a schmucksdinnen harsher for that.
Perhaps schmucksdinnen harder for bashing Citizens United and the billionaire class being able to donate all this money for the fossil fuel industry and all this stuff against our environment.
Well, maybe, but I don't want to keep you too long. Any updates from the field, Bernie, while I have you on here?
We're getting ready for another debate. Some people didn't qualify for this debate. Some people, Christian Gildebrand, she dropped out of the race. She's gone. She's yesterday's news. There's no reason to really talk about it. Really, in all honesty, this race comes down to Joe Biden, myself, Elizabeth Warren, and maybe, if she's lucky, Kamala Harris.
Well, I think there might be a little bit more than that you're willing to admit. Reading from CNBC, published a mere 22 hours ago. ABC News is going to be doing this Democratic debate set for September 12th in Houston, Texas. It'll feature only 10 candidates in one night, as opposed to the earlier debates, which split 20 candidates over 2 nights. Some Democrats have hammered the National Party over the debate qualifying process. I want to get your thoughts on that in just a little bit. The candidates, as ordered by their standing in Real Clear Politics national polling average, we have Joe Biden, former vice president. We have yourself, Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont. What? You can't be listed as an independent from Vermont if you're in the Democratic debates.
I've prided myself on being an independent candidate. I'm an independent candidate. I'm just using the Democratic platform to make things a little easier.
Yeah, man, pick independent or Democrat, man. Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts, Senator Kamala Harris from California, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, entrepreneur Andrew Yang, who you and him have exchanged hits over the last couple of days, Cory Booker from New Jersey, Senator Cory Booker from New Jersey, former Representative Beto O'Rourke, former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro, who last week I almost called Fidel. I apologize for nothing. Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota. Notably, Warren will get her first chance to share the debate stage with Joe Biden and you guys. It'll be a very interesting debate. But Democrats have hammered the Democratic National Committee over the debate qualifying process. Now I'm reading from USA Today. Quote, the Democratic National Committee sets rules for candidates in order to qualify for each debate. While the first 2 rounds saw 20 candidates each split into 2 nights of 10 candidates each, the September 12th debate criteria resulted in a much narrower pool. The guidelines for the third debate were announced in May, and 10 candidates qualified. We already read the 10 candidates. Continuing in the article, though, candidates needed to receive donations from at least 130,000 unique donors coming from at least 20 different states with at least 400 donors per state. And candidates needed to poll at 2% or higher in at least 4 qualifying national or early primary state surveys. In the latter criterion, Gabbard takes issue with. It is the later criterion that Tulsi Gabbard, your constituent or your colleague, Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, takes issue with. She passed the donor threshold, but did not rake up enough qualifying polls, with only 2, according to 538. The DNC mandates the polls must be conducted by any 4 of 16 different organizations, which include the likes of the Associated Press, Fox News, Quinnipiac University, and USA Today. More than one poll from the same organization cannot count unless they are conducted over different geographic regions. Tulsi Gabbard was quoted saying, quote, "There's a whole bunch of different polls that have come out. The DNC has only recognized some of them as being qualifying polls for the debate." Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the process has not been perfect. Back in 2015, when I was running for president against Secretary Clinton, I had a lot of criticisms against superdelegates, which, of course, now we don't have superdelegates anymore. They're a thing of the past. The burn burned them. We burned all the superdelegates. They're gone. But now we have this polling issue. And Tulsi Gabbard, she's not polling above 2%, and that is wherein her problem lies. And some of it has been the fact that she has critics such as Kamala Harris, who is very powerful and will say that she just likes dictators. And I think that's unfair.
Yes, Kamala Harris did. She kind of came out high and mighty, and she said something along the lines of, "I guess they're polling at 2%. Of course, they're taking swipes at me because I'm a prosecutor, and I locked people up for smoking weed, but I've never smoked weed, Whatever, America's prosecutor." But Tulsi Gabbard is now criticizing the method in which the DNC uses the polling data. Some of that might be arbitrary arguments. I'm not 100% convinced on that. I'm not sure about that, especially because Tulsi Gabbard right now is on 2 weeks of fulfilling her service. She's on 2 weeks of doing her National Guard service, and she can't campaign right now. She can't really come out and answer any of these questions. She can't really fight against the process because she's a little busy actively serving in the military.
Agreed, and that is another part of this equation that I don't think works out very well. And I think that we could do better.
Well, Bernie, I thank you for coming on the program. Any last words? Anything else that you need to throw in there?
No, I think that'll do it. I think this was actually a very good conversational, piece that we did.
Are you sure that you don't have anything else to add?
No, I think that is literally all that we. I mean, what are you getting at?
You're really not going to do it.
Do what? What are you talking about? You called me up to do the show, to call from the campaign trail, and that's what I'm doing. And I just thought we had a good discussion right there.
We did, and I enjoy that. I'm very glad that you have, for whatever reason, allowed me to have you on tap. But
very good.
You don't have anything to say about.
What are you getting at? What to say about what? Just
what
well,
I mean, if you just let me, the thing.
What thing are you talking about?
The Medicare for All, Bernie. You always say something about Medicare for All. Don't you have anything to say about Medicare for All right now?
You know what? I thought I was just going to leave it at that. But I'm really glad, Fritz, that you brought up Medicare for All, because now finally you have brought up Medicare for All. And maybe we can have a good discussion on this because we're not talking about the Republican talking points about Medicare for All.
Oh, my God, I got caught. You know what, guys? That's all I have time for today. Thank you for listening to the FritzCast. You can catch me on Facebook.com/the FritzCast,
FritzCastPodcast@gmail.com if you need to talk to me. And on Twitter, @FritzQS. I have links in the description for everything today. Don't listen to the man behind the curtain and all that. We're not going to talk about that right now, and I'll catch you guys maybe next week, but my baby could be born, so it might be up in the air. Just keep your eyes peeled.
Are you you're logged off? Well, yeah. Well, this is awkward. I've never really done a libertarian podcast before. September 12th, Houston, Texas. Birdman headlining the debate of the century against Joe Biden, my friend Elizabeth Warren. It'll be a slobber knocker. So watch it. I believe he said it's on ABC. Check it out and feel the burn. Well, welcome to the show. This is your favorite presidential candidate, future president of the United States, Bernie Sanders. Last week, Fritz abruptly cut out before I could finish my thoughts. And, I was left to talk about the debate that was coming up. And I look forward to, it's going to be the 12th, which is in 6 days. 6 short days. And, to think we just finished up a 17-hour town hall all about green energy. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to get here early before Fritz even got set up, because there's probably a slight chance that he talks about nuclear energy, and I wanted to get my word in edgewise, hoping that he doesn't cut me off again, because nuclear is no good. Okay? Nuclear energy, they try to say is clean. It's not. It's dirty. It's not good for the environment. It's not good for the Green New Deal. And, I just needed to get that word in edgewise. Oh, crap, I think he's coming. I'm not going to be able to have conversations with him today. So just remember, if he says anything about nuclear energy is bad, don't go for it. Don't go for it. It's not good for the Green New Deal. I know what I'm talking about. We did like a 42-hour town hall on CNN about this. All right, I love you guys. Bye.
Okay. Welcome to the show today. Bernie Sanders here. Fritz could be here. He's been busy, as it were. He's got a lot to do. And you could say that he called me up and that he asked me to come here and talk with you all about my platform and about the things coming up. You might have seen it in the news. I am the first candidate, ever, to make over $25 million in donations. By myself. It's pretty impressive. And the thing about it is, I hate asking people for the money. I do. I hate how politics here in the U.S. involves asking people for money. It is it's emotional. Having to ask people for money. I hate doing it. I would raise everybody's taxes in a heartbeat, though, but I hate asking for money running for president. I really hate doing it. I think there could be some radical changes that we put in place there. But I digress. That's not my fault. I'm just playing the game. I'm playing the game that they're forcing me to play. Who could that be? Oh, hold on. Let me just check this for a second. Crap. I gotta answer this. Hello?
Bernie? Hey, it's Fritz. I just
Okay, well, it's so great of you to call. I was just sitting down, actually, working on a little something.
yeah, well, that's what I was calling about. I got all your voicemails on my phone about how you wanted to, sub in and do FritzCast for me while I was away with the birth of my baby and all that. And I mean there was a lot of voicemails from you, dude. I had like 25 voicemails from you, like begging to do the show for me. And I mean, I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to do it. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I do, but I just got a notification on my phone from my Ring camera.
You have a security camera. Why wouldn't you have a security camera? I mean, that makes perfect sense for a guy like you.
Are you in my office right now?
No, of course not. I mean, I wouldn't come to Delaware. I've never been to Delaware before in my life.
That's a lie. You were here at the Chase Center. You were here at the Chase Center in 2015 or 2016. It was during that election cycle. You came to the Chase Center at the riverfront. You were here. You were in Delaware. Don't lie to me. And the other thing is, Bernie.
Oh, crap, I gotta go. Look at the time. See you later.
I've been here the whole time. Cue the music.
Shush. Be quiet. There's a lot of dogs around Fritz's house. He's got like 4 dogs. Stop. I don't want to wake your dad up. Shush. All right. Milk bones for all. Okay. All right, good. All right. In the kitchen now. Refrigerator. Yes. Cup of coffee. Gotta convince Fritz that Medicare for all is important. And oh my God, what the hell? What the hell is this? 2% milk reduced for come on, we gotta go with skim milk. Skim milk or almond milk? Bastard. What do we got? Something for coffee. Good coffee. Ooh, half and half. Yes. Countryside Creamery. Half and half. Perfect. Good compliments for coffee. It's an awful lot of beer in there, too, for somebody who says they don't need Medicare for all. Yeah, full of himself. All right. Half and half. Get over here. Check this out. Yes. Oh, here I am yelling at the damn dogs for being loud. And here I am being loud. Bernie, what the hell? Keurig. Ooh, this is awesome. Oh, he's got different coffee flavors. Pike Creek Roastery. Blueberry cinnamon crumble. Talk about the top 10th of 1% of coffee lovers. What the hell? All right, get a cup of coffee guts. Stop being so goddamn loud, Bernie. Jesus. Get a cup for him, too. Make him work over this. Something, Bernie? Wait, there you are. Hey, how you doing? What the hell are you doing in here, Bernie? Well, we've been having such misunderstandings about, some of the talking points and all that. I figured I'd come in here, I'd make us, a couple cups of coffee, and perhaps you and I could discuss something that is very dear to my heart. Oh my God, are you gonna go off about Medicare for all again? Because you broke into my house. What the hell? I didn't break into your house. I wouldn't do that. I didn't break into your house. It's not. I didn't barge in the front door. Your dogs were very, they're very nice. They're very calm. Milk bones for all. That I promised them I would get them milk bones for all. So before this day is over, can you maybe drive me to Walmart and buy some milk bones for your dogs to not make me a liar to them? Jesus, Bernie, what do you mean you didn't break in? Look. You left a window unlocked. I know you leave a window unlocked. You told me about the one time that you accidentally locked your keys in the house and you couldn't get back in, but then you remembered you leave a window open. So you grabbed the ladder and you climbed in your house while everybody looked at you like you were a lunatic trying to break in? No, that's not that. But that doesn't mean that you could come in my window. I mean, what are you doing here? Look. I was just making us a cup of coffee. I think that we can really sit down and have a good discussion about Medicare for all. I mean, come over here. Look at your fridge. Look at this. Look. You got beers over here, Yingling. You got. Look at this. Look. 2% milk. You really think that's good for you? All right, you want to know why insurance premiums are so high? It's because you're drinking 2% milk. You could be drinking skim milk or almond milk or soy milk, something other than 2%. Look at some of these coffee creamers, like half and half. It's great, half and half. It's grade A, ultra pasteurized. It's not bad for you, but International Delight Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, that's bad for you. Jimmy Dean sausage is bad for you. I mean, and here you are saying you don't want Medicare for all. You know why I don't want Medicare for all, Bernie? You know why I am starting like, you know what? Let's just go into the next episode of FritzCast. Let's leave it at that. No, yeah. Look, looking forward to it. But seriously, Walmart, can we go? Get out! All right. I'll see myself out. But call me when you're a little bit more calm. All right? Because I would really enjoy having this discussion.
But what I do have, before closing out the program, I know it's going to be a little bit shorter on this end of the thing, but what I do have is I have Bernie Sanders here. Bernie was requesting to come on because I'm not exactly sure why he was requesting to come on. He requests to come on anyway, and he gives us updates from the trail. So here we have Bernie Sanders. Bernie, you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
I'm just great, Bernie. What brings you on the show today?
Well, first and foremost, my friend Kamala Harris, she dropped out of the presidential election, so just to comment a little bit on that and, try to graze the voters over to the Burning Man. I don't even know how to explain Kamala Harris's campaign.
I think I do. I think we could just explain it as she was trying to take out Joe Biden, and it backfired massively. And then Tulsi Gabbard also eviscerated her.
Yes. But backfired massively because she's not a heavy hitter. I mean, we're going to get Joe Biden. If anybody out there can go toe-to-toe with Joe Biden, I would have to think it's me. Especially because I've had a heart attack, and I kicked its ass. So...
Whoa.
What has Joe Biden done?
Well, I mean, Joe Biden has he challenged that one dude to a push-up contest. I'm not certain I would bank money on you in the push-up contest against Joe Biden. I'm not, but I digress. I don't want to talk about that. Kamala Harris, her dropping out, I agree with you. Not surprising in the least. She ran one of, not the worst presidential campaign, but it was pretty shoddy. And even her own campaign staffers who had left had said that it was chaotic and disorganized and a bunch of other stuff. And she wasn't fit for the position anyway. But what else did you want to talk about? Anything else?
Actually, yeah, I wanted to, it's the holidays, and I might be Jewish, but I figured, it's the holidays, and I wanted to be a little festive, I wanted to, maybe come on the program and, do a little musical number of sorts.
Are you musically inclined? Is there something that I'm not... registering here? What are you talking about?
Of course I'm musically inclined. In fact, there's not going to be background music or anything, and to be honest with you, I'm not really a singer, but I had this little auto-tune app, and, I just want to sing a number for you.
What kind of, what are you going to sing?
Well, it can speak for itself, but it's a little take on a Christmas, Rankin Bass classic, Just call me Bernie Meister Burner.
Oh God, no! So that's a take on Meister Burger from Santa Claus is Coming to Town. isn't
Yes,
it?
yes, exactly. And I have ingeniously rewritten the lyrics to support a cause that I care near and dear about.
Oh, son of a bitch.
It's a difficult responsibility that you accept from the Democratic nominee.
You're not even the Democratic
Let
nominee.
it be known throughout the land from sea to sea.
What is this? Some kind of like King
Everyone
Declaration
goes
thing?
on Medicare for all except for me.
Well, wait, why don't you go on Medicare for
All
all?
private insurance, break them
Do
down.
you think that's a good idea?
Let's defeat the orange cloud. All your medical
Clever.
bills deflated.
Really?
Though your tax brackets are prorated.
At least you're being honest
You'll
about it.
keep your doctor anyway, cause that's how we say it goes.
Where did I hear that before?
Cast out your doubts of Obamacare that brought us only woes.
Well, I would clap, but I'm afraid to. Thank God you used the auto-tune app. I'm not sure it helped you that much, but what a rousing rendition. What a rousing song. I had no idea you were a parodyist.
Oh, I'm not done.
What do you mean you're not done? You wrote another verse?
Brace yourself.
It's a difficult responsibility
Oh, here we go
that
again.
you accept from the Democratic nominee.
You're not the Democratic nominee.
Well, you know they're all gonna vote for me.
Maybe not.
The billionaires will make us all debt free.
Yep, the billionaires will do it.
Every
How?
college be tuition free.
Really?
Wipe away all the debts you see.
How are you gonna do
Don't
that?
Ask me how we pay it.
How are you going to pay
It's
it?
the billionaires, I'll say it.
Jesus.
I'm gonna pass the Green New Deal and hell no nuclear.
Nuclear is good.
So I'm gonna purify the air so we can all breathe clear.
Okay.
It's a difficult responsibility that you accept from the Democratic nominee.
Yep, you will be the nominee, sure.
It's exhausting to do all this pandering.
You can stop anytime.
Let's all feel the burn and vote for me.
Well, Bernie Sanders, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, and I still might even have more Christmas classics coming, so pay attention. Keep tuning in to FritzCast.
Thank you for the endorsement. Thank you. So yeah, keep tuning in to FritzCast. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the FritzCast. It is Saturday, December 14th, 2019. And it being December 14th means that there is only 11 days till Christmas. So that means that you got to get your Christmas shopping done. You just got to get it done. You have no other choice other than to get your Christmas shopping done. You have 11 days to do it. If you're expecting an ad that's going to tell you something that you want to hear that will help you knock out your Christmas shopping because you are a lazy bum, you're wrong. There is no ad. This is just me reminding you of the thing that you're trying to ignore in the back of your head, that you still haven't got your Christmas shopping done, you bum. We didn't have I didn't put intro music in because I have our very special, somewhat weekly guest, Bernard Sanders here, who last week he did this little musical ditty, and then he told me that he had such outreach and it was so successful to him that he wanted to come on and talk a little bit about it, and he wanted to do a special opening for the show. I am I'm a bit perturbed and a little weary of what could possibly happen, but Bernie Sanders, how are you doing, sir?
It's great to be here in person, in the studio. Your office is very, very small, though. However, we're kind of cramped in here. You've given me this weird-looking microphone. This is like an old-school microphone. I thought, where'd you get this one from, and how come you get the fancy one behind the computer?
That microphone, Bernie, that's a very special microphone. Back when I worked on WorldWrestlingInsanity.com and I had my own audio show, this was like back in like very early high school. I worked for James Gutman on World Wrestling Insanity. I had my own audio show, and that microphone you're holding right there is actually from Rock Band, but it's, as you can see, it's a USB microphone. It plugs into the computer, and as far as why do I get this one, well, this is my microphone. This is my command station. This is my office, number one. So I sit behind the computer. I sit behind, the main mic. I didn't even have to, provide a mic for you, for real.
You've truly spoken like somebody who is privileged and doesn't understand where I'm coming from. I mean, you get to talk into your microphone, hands free. I have to keep one hand grasping this thing like my life depended on it. And I wobble in and out. Like sometimes it's close to my mouth. See, look, I bumped it into my mouth. I'm sure that doesn't sound very good audio quality. I mean, maybe you just want me to, sit in the commander chair, for a minute. I think you should probably be, just a tiny bit, grateful that I even let you into this house. I mean, you did weeks ago break into this house. Stop it.
You did it. You did it twice.
I explained that one time, and I tried making you cups of coffee. I mean, I was here to make cups of coffee for you and have a good discussion about a political topic that I think you're misled on.
Okay, that's a little bit ridiculous because, first off, you broke into my house. Like, I don't care if the window was open or whatever. Yeah, I mean, you came into my house unwelcomed. Fine. If we won't say you broke in, we'll say you came in unwelcomed. You were an unwelcomed guest in this household. And then you tried to make amends. At least you're claiming right now. You tried to make amends by offering me coffee. It was my own damn coffee.
I think that you just need to calm down and realize that you didn't have to make coffee that day, did you? I made you a cup of coffee. We had a discussion. You asked me to leave. I left. But you still sat down and you still drank that coffee, didn't you?
You know what? I did still drink that cup of coffee.
Right. How'd you feel after you drank that cup of coffee?
I felt like maybe I was a little hot-headed against you.
Trust me. If you broke into one of my 3 houses, I'd be pretty hot-headed too.
Okay, well, you want to do an intro song? Like, what is this thing? Like, what do you have in mind? What do you have planned?
Yes, I'd love to. I would love nothing more than to do this intro song. See, last week I did Bernie Meisterburger, and it was, it was like a hit. It was like an instant classic. Like, people were reaching out to me on Twitter. They were direct messaging me. They were DMing me, and there was no unsolicited dick pics in that, if you know what I mean. People were genuinely impressed by the song. I don't know if you got any of that same feedback.
I didn't get any feedback on it like that. I mean, maybe it's because you were singing or whatever, but I didn't get that kind of feedback regarding it. But I mean, if you say you did, you did. So, I mean, what does that entail for this week?
Well, I was thinking in the same vein, let's stick to the Rankin Bass classics. These are classic Christmas movies, and let's just keep going with it. This time, this week, I mean, the Koch brothers, right?
Yeah, you very often criticize the Koch brothers as the billionaire Koch brothers and all that jazz. I know the Koch brothers.
Very, very good. You've been paying attention to the fact that they are the billionaire class that are ruling the world. There's also another famous set of brothers at Christmas time.
Don't you dare.
Don't I dare what?
Don't you dare. That they are an iconic duo. They're a Christmas classic. No, I will not let you butcher them like that in a song. No.
Well, I don't know what to tell you because...
Oh, you bastard. No, you cannot do this.
Shut up and listen.
I'm Mr. Tax Christmas.
Sounds kind of cringy.
I'm number 1.
No, stop it.
I'm Mr. Fair Giver. I make the billionaires run.
Not sure about
they
that.
They call me Bird Miser. Whatever I touch.
Oh, boy.
Turns billionaires into mush.
Wow.
I'm too much.
Really?
You want all the things I'm gonna do for you. Listen to my minions.
Where did you get minions? They all look like me. What?
The billionaires.
What the hell? Where the hell did you get clones of me?
Everything that you ever needed.
How?
They call me Birdmiser. Whatever I touch gives you free things a bunch.
He's too much. I question the legality of this.
I know a way you'll get health care and never will pay a
You
cent.
always work this in the damn
I'll
show.
tax the billionaires 80.
Are you serious?
90-100%.
Oh, crap.
Oh, some like the taxes high, but I like them really high. Majorly high. Make the billionaires never exist.
You know, if the billionaires never
You're
existed,
gonna get free health care. Free college tuition. Cancellation of all your debt. All you gotta do is vote for me. They call me the bird miser. Whatever I touch turns billionaires into mush.
He's too much.
Thank you.
it's very...
Too much.
It is very... Where the hell did you get minions that look like me?
Think about what's laid around your house, you know, a toothbrush, hair. I mean, you're a hairy dude. It's everywhere. It's not that hard to, get some DNA and, questionable legality, maybe. But, I thought it was a jaunty tune.
Yeah, I've noticed you thinking, a little bit highly of yourself over stuff. I mean, it was decent for a parody, but most of the stuff that you're singing in there is just nonsensical pandering.
All right, well, we'll see what happens as we start going through the primaries. And as you will see, I will emerge as the Democratic nominee. That's what's going to happen. Speaking of which, I got to get back on the campaign trail. I'm very thankful that you had me here. I'm thankful for you listeners every week listening to FritzCast so that I could systematically destroy his silly-minded libertarian limited government opinions and about how Medicare for All is the best thing ever, and we need to instill it right now.
Will we hear from you again before Christmas, Bernie?
Well, I would say to your listeners, just stay tuned, because I can pretty much, I've proven now through 2 weeks that I am a mastermind. I'm like a Weird Al of progressive Democrats now, so I could probably parody any Christmas song you could think of. Who knows what it's going to be next week? You got to tune in to hear this wonderful, and every week I'm getting better. Every week it's like I go to music lessons. I talk to Seth MacFarlane a lot because he sings in Family Guy. I think it's getting better. So just stay tuned for that. Gotta go. Love you all. Bye.
Well, that's Bernie Sanders. That was and I think that'll help split up the content a little bit, make things a little bit more fresher and interesting. Sometimes you can't get all the guests you want,
but sometimes you can get the guests that you don't want.
Bernie Sanders, ladies and gentlemen,
how y'all doing? I hope everybody had a great holiday season. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas if that's your jive. Happy holidays. We're coming up to a new year. We had a great Democratic debate in which I would probably placed number one.
No. Stop, Bernie. Stop. You actually did not place number one in that debate. Believe it or not, Vice President Joe Biden placed very highly in that debate.
I think you overestimate Joe Biden and his popularity. Joe Biden talks about children jumping in a pool and playing with his leg hair. All right, have you ever heard anything off the wall like that from me?
Not on a personal note. Maybe some of the policy points, yeah, but not on a personal note.
It's not policy point. But my policy points are sound policy points. You just believe that government should be limited, and I think that government should be massively expanded so that you can enjoy it.
That's a point of contention, Bernie. But I will concede there's been some awakening. There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
honestly, I'm kind of scared now.
No, but my point is that for such a long time I've gone on about libertarian limited government, and I don't think I've put enough emphasis on what I mean and really dive in depth to some of the topics like healthcare. You know, you think Medicare for all is the way.
A fundamental human right. Healthcare, fundamental human right.
Yes, and I realize I've maybe been approaching the argument in a wrong way, thanks to some of the other podcast content and people that I listen to. So, you know, I think that there's going to be some interesting evolutions coming up on the FritzCast. That's still going to be a pinnacle of liberty and libertarian-ish kind of values.
Your loss.
Well, you know, hey, Bernie, you weren't on the show with Todd Hagopian. We were supposed to get another song out of you before Christmas, I thought.
Well, such is life. I had a debate to prepare for. That I had the holiday season. That is among us. It's still happening right now, kind of, because it drags on into like January. People hold on. They still watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas up until like April sometimes. You're right. I was supposed to come do a song, but you had that Todd fella on the program. I figured I would step away. Let you have your 5 minutes of fame.
Do you think like my show's contingent on you, don't you?
I'm just saying that Birdmiser, #1 chart-topping hit for the holiday season. I know everybody was reporting on All I Want for Christmas Is You, but it's really the #1 was Birdmiser. It was there. It was up there. It was #1. The media has an agenda against progressives and myself, and they buried it.
Those are strong words. I mean, you can sing right now if you want.
You know, I think that, you know, is good. I think maybe even cut the conversation, you know, right about now is okay.
Why? Is there something wrong?
No, it's just you know, I'm not you know, I'm a little under the weather, as you can hear, you know, in my voice. That's a little nasally.
Your voice is always nasally, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's not new.
But the coughing and the that is new. I mean, you know, what would you want me to sing anyway?
I don't know. I mean, you're supposed to come up with the songs here.
You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Bernie Claus is coming to town. He's making a list. He's checking it twice. Gonna give Medicare for all to you guys. Bernie Claus is coming to town.
You didn't write a parody this week, did you?
I got kind of, you know, busy with things. But don't you worry. There will still be festivities to be had. It's still winter time. I'm sure there's still a song or two that I could parody to tell you how you're wrong about stuff.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to that then. I'll let you go up on your way. I'm sure you're busy. And thank you for stopping by. Thank you for a great 2019, Bernie. I can't wait to see what 2020 brings.
Use the hashtag Burn2020. We're going to take the White House after we impeach President Donald Trump. I'll see you guys later. I love you.
So, Warren, this story drops before the debate. Then they actually question Bernie about this. In fact, I want to play the little sequence of the questioning because I was a little bit surprised by how this worked.
You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I disagreed.
Now this pissed me off. And this pisses me off too because first off, the moderator asked Bernie Sanders, you know, verbatim, you're saying that you did not say this to Elizabeth Warren. What does Bernie say? Bernie, what did you say?
I said that is correct. I did not say that to Elizabeth Warren.
Right. But then, what does the moderator ask
what does the moderator and then immediately ask Elizabeth Warren? She says, "What did you think when Bernie said that to you?" Hold the phone. Pause. Time out. I don't get. I say it didn't happen. I say I didn't say that. Then all of a sudden, they are asking her how she felt when I said the thing that I said I did not say. I know. Crazy, Bernie. Crazy. Thanks for being here, by the way. Pleasure to be here, even briefly and abruptly. But thank you. Anyway, but how did you feel after that, Bernie? I honestly, I felt like, me and Elizabeth are good friends. We signed the little pact that we would not attack each other, and here she is saying that I said this statement, which is bullshit. I'm a little surprised that you're cursing, but can you blame me? Can you blame me? I cannot blame you. I cannot blame you at all. I don't understand where they were coming off of, and then Twitter and the internet they spun this whole thing into a believe all women / Me Too movement thing, in which hey, Elizabeth Warren told her truth. No. Stop. Because somebody was lying about this. It was either Bernie Sanders, whom, Bernie, you are a lot of things. You're a kooky socialist, and I don't like your policies, but I'm not sure I could coin you as a liar. Thank you, Fritz, and I'm going to take my bow out after this because the campaign trail is very important, and I thought I had friends, but apparently now I don't. Point at Donald Trump and say, but they voted for Donald Trump, and he's a shit sandwich. Right, but he's a shit sandwich that they voted because they felt like he would wreck the system, and he kind of is. He kind of is.
Fritz, thanks for coming into my defense for that. Hillary Clinton, Secretary Clinton, she is trying to ruin my whole campaign.
Bernie Sanders, welcome to the program. It's been a while, my good friend.
I've been very busy with, I'm sure you've watched it on television, and you've seen it. We've been on the Senate floor trying to impeach Donald Trump, who is the worst president and most divisive president in United States history.
Bernie, you're in response to Hillary Clinton saying you didn't do enough for her for the 2016 election, and that your fan base is too rabid and too loyal to you. I mean, what do you have to say about that coming out of Hillary Clinton?
Well, let me tell you something. It's not surprising because when I did in 2016, I went to states that Hillary Clinton wouldn't even go to. Because she was, she didn't care about going to those states, and I had to go there and tell them about how, feel the burn, and we should, revolutionize and fundamentally change this nation. And I would go and I would tell them that, and they would say, well, I want to vote for you, Bernie, and I would say, well, you know what? I would love your vote, but you got to vote for her because she's on the ballot.
And, of course, Elizabeth Warren's doing no favors for you in stating that you said a woman could never be president of the United States.
Correct. Elizabeth Warren, she's a very good friend, and she claims that I called her a liar on national television. I digress. I believe she called me a liar on national television, and, in fact, she did. But, what can you expect anyway? She talks about having a plan, but she doesn't really have a plan.
What about Tulsi Gabbard? She's trying to sue Hillary Clinton for like a defamation lawsuit almost. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, if anything, if there's any driving point that I have in my voice right now, if there's any point that I can try to really, try to make, it would be Secretary Clinton needs to step down. needs to step back. We don't need Clintons in the DNC anymore. We don't need super PACs. We don't need super delegates, which we done away with super delegates. And if anything, we need radical changes.
How about Joe Biden? How about the President Trump? President Trump and his defense team on that Senate floor often was bringing up Joseph Biden and Hunter Biden, Burisma, and that board and the Ukrainian stuff. I mean, what about Joe Biden? He's your direct primary political opponent. What say you about that situation?
Well, Joe is, he was vice president under Barack Obama, and Joe Biden. He's, what can I say? He's, Uncle Joe is batshit insane.
Whoa, that's surprising coming from you.
Yeah, well, what's surprising coming from Joe Biden is the fact that he goes around and he pokes people in the chest, and he grabs them, and he touches them, and he shakes them up like he's going to beat them up like he's some kind of mobster. He's talking about, he knows damn well what's right for the good and what's good for the country, and if you stand up to him, he tries to smack you around and
It's
stuff.
very true. He's always yelling.
Malarkey. The 1980s called, and they want their 1960s word back, you bum.
Wow, you feel pretty passionate about this.
You're damn right. He wants to go off and talk about his hairy blonde leg hand in the pool and stuff, and how kids like to touch it. That's the man you want for president? That's the man you think's going to beat Donald Trump?
Well, the polling right now at least still has him in the lead, still has him as the best shot to beat Donald Trump, according to the polls.
Yeah, well, according to the polls, Hillary Clinton was supposed to be president now, wasn't she? But you don't see her trotting around as president, do you?
No, but I do see an awful lot of people on Twitter in their profile bios talking about Madam President and crap. Or the I'm still with her crap, whatever. Anyway, Bernie, any final thoughts? I know you're busy. You've got the Senate impeachment trial. You've got probably more debates to prepare for. Please do not use this opportunity to stump for Medicare for all.
That's pretty much the long and the short of it. Trying to impeach Donald Trump, which isn't going to happen because the Republicans got no balls, and stomping on the campaign trail. It's time for some primaries. Time to start winning some primary elections and proving you wrong. And also, Medicare for all. I love you. Bye.
Son of a bitch. All right. Well, with that being said, that's where we stand. We're getting ready for the Senate to throw this thing into acquittal mode, and the whole world will come down crashing and burning. Oh, by the way, Great Britain actually passed through with Brexit. They actually are Brexited from the EU. That happened too. Two things that back in 2014 or 15 or whatever they said would not happen happened. So if those guys ever tell you won't win the lottery, you might just win the lottery. So throw it out to you guys. That does it for me for this week. Follow me on Twitter at FritzQS. It's facebook.com/TheFritzCast. Don't forget the. And if you need to get in touch with me personally, it's fritzcastpodcast@gmail.com. That'll do it for me. I love you. Have a great and wonderful week, and I shall see you, or rather you will hear from me, next week.